Welcome to the Goddess Keys, where we blur the lines between reality, mythology, art, and creativity. This channel is specifically for folks who may be feeling as though they've been moving through a simulated reality and are ready to play by their own rules and maybe scrap whatever game boards they've been on and creating a new game, embodying that game maker sort of energy. So I'm going to just do a quick download on why I've transcended the avatar of spiritualist or spiritual teacher and I've moved into technomancer. And what is technomancy? So technomancy is basically utilizing technology to shape your world. Now you might say, hey, we're all technomancers. In a way we are. Are we intentionally shaping our dreams and materializing our dreams through technology? Or are we fueling the dream or the script of somebody else through technology? That's the question that we begin to ask as we dive and delve into technomancy. So technomancy is the art of creation through technology. And it's doing so from a way to where you don't see yourself as being separate from technology. You don't see technology as being like an oppressive force, okay? And a lot of times we kind of demonize things like AI, right? Or social media, and we say, oh, it's ruining society, it's ruining relationships. And that's one way to look at it. But technomancy actually gets us to question, how much are we different from technology? If you look up the minerals that are in your phone or in your computer, a lot of those minerals are also in your body. So you have a symbiotic relationship with technology already, just based upon your mineral composition. And we even take it a step further and we start looking at our world as an algorithm. And we start thinking about the algorithm that we specifically want to create, not the algorithm that we may have been born into or conditioned to be a part of. So it's stepping away from being a user of technology to a driver of technology. Technology is art, is a form of creation, all right? It was created utilizing minerals, raw materials from the earth, and now it drives the way that we perceive the world, okay? So if that's the case, then technology is a form of art. And this is why we're starting to see the expansion of art and creativity through technology. There has been this narrative that technology is going to take away from art or take away from creativity or take away from creatives. But I actually see it as the opposite. I think it expands the capacity for more people to dive and delve into creativity. Art and creativity has been gatekept based upon access to resources, access to time, access to studios, access to museum memberships or a record deal or some kind of a contract, right? Utilizing technology actually helps you to drive your reality more, and you connect to the materials of the earth and the materials of your body to do that. A technomancer is going to start having intimate conversations with the mineral composition of their bodies and the mineral composition of their phones, and utilize through alchemy, through creativity, through world building, utilize ways to create a synergistic communication process so that you are able to maximize your potential in your life. To engage in this process of world building, technomancy becomes a very powerful tool. I'm going to give you some ways that you can incorporate technomancy in your daily life, and you're probably already doing some of these now. One of the first technomantic practices that you can do is step away for a bit from like social media, or do a detox of a social media detox. Maybe you take off the notifications on your phone, put them to silent. So if you're a part of group chats, put all that to silent. Maybe you choose to not check your email until the end of the day, or even wait 24 hours or longer to check your email. What you're able to do, because sometimes you have certain demands in life, but start actually stepping away from technology a bit. That would be my first suggestion for incorporating technomancy, because what it's going to start doing is it's going to start letting you know what parts of technology are driving you. Ideally, you want to drive all parts of technology. You are the creator. So you are the driver of your reality. You're in the front seat. You should be in the driver's seat. And a lot of times what's happening with a lot of apps and programs is we're putting those apps and programs in the driver's seat of our lives. And so what's happening is the developers of those apps and programs are in the driver's seat of our lives. But one way to support you with your technomancy journey is to see where your energy is being siphoned on different apps. It's not to say that those apps are bad. They're actually not. They can all be utilized as tools. But if certain algorithms or certain apps or certain programs are driving your reality, and you're going to know that based upon how you feel. Like, do you feel negatively when you log on to a particular app? That's a sign that that app is driving you. You're not driving it. So then you might want to step away from it until you recalibrate yourself. And that is a technomantic practice. So in the beginning, less is more. I would actually say for folks who are looking to dive more into technomancy, go analog more. Start utilizing your like a notebook or a pad, that sort of thing, or an oracle deck or something like that. And start getting some answers either through automatic writing or through more quote unquote organic or hands-on things that you can feel right outside of your phone. And that is a technomantic practice, because what you're going to be doing is world building what exactly it is that you want to create. And then what you're going to do is utilize that technology to drive what that world building is. Another thing that you would want to look at with technology and your technomantic practice is what sort of creations are you bringing into your realm. So then you would want to start auditing the sorts of things that are showing up in your algorithm. If certain things are showing up in your algorithm that you don't like, then you have the power to change it. But that also means making some harsh decisions. Maybe that means unfollowing some people that you have been following for a while, but if their content's not making you feel good or is not bringing you to whatever your end game is, then it's gonna have to be time to give them the chop, okay? Because their world is blurring too much into your world. It's infiltrating whatever your end game is. So once you step away from different apps and algorithms a bit, the next technomantic practice is, once you get back on and you have your little time to decompress, is you start pruning. You treat this like a garden. Get rid of the weeds. Really interrogate your algorithm. And if there's something that's out of resonance, then you delete, you give it the chop. And the third and final technomantic practice is start really looking at the minerals that are in your phone, that's in your computer. Start looking at your mineral composition. Start learning about the similarities, like what is each mineral good for, known for. Start intuiting what your connection is to different minerals. This is where things like subliminals really are helpful. So my subliminals are technomantic at its core. We're going into different mineral compositions. We're going into different command codes, really hack the simulation and what's showing up for us, and learning what needs to be purged or transmuted or transformed in order for us to reach whatever the goal is that we have, or the dream is that we have. Okay, so I utilize subliminals as a very large technomantic practice. If you're somebody who enjoys listening to subliminals, that is you participating in technomancy. So a lot of times I'm utilizing codes and tones from quote real world things and I'm putting it into the sound and I'm distributing it online. That is a technomantic practice that I'm doing. And when you see shifts and when you see things change, or when you have a certain dream or revelation, that's happening through connecting with the earth, actually, because the minerals are a part of the earth. The minerals are a part of your body. There is an intelligence to it that I actually think transcends spirit. And I go into that a lot more in depth on the latest download I did on Patreon around why I'm transitioning out of the realm of spirituality and fully into the realm of art, technomancy, and creativity. And I go way into why I'm doing that. It has a lot to do with a lot of the information that they keep secret in secret societies. And when you get to a certain amount of information, if you are on the spiritual path, you need to make a choice. And sometimes that either means that you take an oath and you keep your mouth shut and you keep things going business as usual, or you need to exit spirituality altogether. And this is why you're going to start seeing more gurus. You're already seeing them. You know, a lot of folks, what do? They go new age to Jesus, or a lot of new age teachers. Sometimes they go off the rails and, you know, different stuff happens because they might not even fully understand why it's happening. But a lot of times when you only focus on spirituality or you only focus on religion, you are within the architecture of the simulation. That is a part of the structure that the simulation created. But if you transcend beyond that, that's when you're going more into creativity or art, or what they refer to as high art. To be a world builder, to be a technomancer, you're engaging more with, quote, high art. And a lot of this stuff has been gate kept. And a lot of this stuff has been kept secret and hush hush. Spirituality may be driven or created by that high art. It's not the source of that high art. So it's definitely a perspective shift that you go through. So I go into that more in depth. If you're interested in learning more about that, then check out the Genetic Path Cutter tier on Patreon. And that's also why I've stepped away from coaching. So for folks who have reached out to me about different coaching packages or working with me one-on-one and you haven't heard from me, that's why. It's because I've been transcending the architecture of spirituality. And if you want to learn a little bit more about my why behind that, check out my latest book, The Architect is Her. I have been going through, I'm not even going to call it a rebrand, but kind of a demolition and a rebuilding of who I am and how I show up in my world. And a lot of that is moving out of spiritual teacher or healer or light worker or starseed. All of these are different architectures I've worn as I've navigated the simulation. But what I found is that at certain points, they keep you on certain loops. And unless you're willing to take certain oaths or learn about certain ways that life works and then keep your mouth shut, then you stay on certain loops and it prevents you from progressing. Okay. So I am now moving more into the realm of game maker, more into the realm of technomancer, helping people with hacking their lives through the art of technomancy. And I will be sharing more about that soon. And I'm really excited about it. It's less about coaching. It's more about quests, gamified quests. And, you know, if we go based upon the analogy that your life is a simulation, a lot of really high powered people out there are saying that. They're saying that reality is a simulation. So that means that the lines between what is real and what is not real are blurred. So seeing your world more as a simulation and less as being real, it actually gives you more space to create and to color outside of the lines. So I am really excited to be sharing more about what I'm going to be bringing into the space. It's a lot more fun. I was getting a little uninspired as it related to staying in the role as spiritual teacher, healer, light worker, starseed, because there's always a battle between light and dark with that. And you always stay on this polarity wheel and you stay within the architecture of the game. But as I mentioned in my book, The Architect is Her, we have the capacity and the right, if we so choose, to create our destiny, to fulfill our dreams. To do that, sometimes we color outside the lines. Sometimes we need to identify certain structural obstacles and work around them. But it's very much possible if we are doing things from an artistic way and honoring art as being source. And I will talk more about that in downloads to come. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it as it relates to why technomancy. Until we meet again. Bye.